the interrogation. And we need to exercise that discretion as to what is good for public consumption and what's not. But eventually, a report will be placed before Parliament, which will be a matter of public knowledge. And then Parliament will debate it, and then resolutions will be made on the basis of the report.
Chairman, sorry, I don't think you got my first question right. You mentioned that there is an interim report which had been prepared by the National Security, but he refused to share it because of the fact that it has not been declassified. And I want to know if he told the committee about the remit of that report, whether it relates to only the interrogation of Superintendent Asari and the rest, or it relates to the entire tape, that's the tape and its ramifications for our national security.
He didn't talk about it at all. He said he refused to talk about anything they did.
Chairman, I also want to find out whether we're going to witness cross-examination during the sitting.
Very most likely.
Honorable Chair, with respect to the petitioners, is there any updates from the police officers who claim they have been denied promotions by the Dr. Akufo-Dampare?
That is very peripheral to the investigations we are doing, and we will look at it. So when you brush aside your substantive remit and go into some other matters, it could eat our time. So we'll look at the time measurement properly and we'll attend to it.
One more question regarding the tape again. I just want to know, does the second tape suggest that indeed the initial tape which went viral is a doctored one?
It seems to be the case because the second tape is one which is a very long discussion, which I can come to some understanding that they do not dispute.
Mr. Chairman, we know there was this video in circulation where Bugrinabu allegedly, a voice alleged to be from Bugrinabu talking about his engagement with the IGP, and the voice was heard saying that he takes about 10,000 Ghana cedis from the IGP. Has that been drawn to your attention?
Not yet. The committee has not had that video, and they've not brought it to our attention.
But will you consider scrutinizing the video if it is drawn to your attention?
We'll scrutinize every relevant evidence that comes before the committee. So if you want to be a witness and tender it, you are welcome.
Is it my understanding that it is not the witness, it is not only the witness that will tender that as evidence, but anyone from the general public can tender that in as an evidence?
It's not a fetish of an inquiry. It's an open inquiry. And the public who are interested in the sanity of the Ghana Police Service can always come in with whatever evidence which has direct relation to our remit, and we look at it.
But are there still some objections from any of the legal themes of the witnesses before you? We know that the IGP's lawyers raised the concern about they having the benefit of the evidence that we adduced by the accusers so that they can also go and scrutinize them, come back and respond to them.
They have every proceeding now. You see, even yesterday's proceedings were ready. They've given it to them. They've given the number of the chairman and the clerk to the committee that if they are having any challenge in relation to proceedings, we will give it to them. And if there is any evidence of consequence that we have, we'll give it to them. So they scrutinize whatever we have before we meet. And they have also said they'll give their evidence to us.
Mr. Chairman, lastly from me, is there any time frame that the committee is working on to unravel the allegations?
Well, the Speaker insisted that when we return the first week, we should finish our work. But when we look at the welter of the case and there's a need to seek his leave to continue, we'll bring it to his attention. because we don't intend doing a shoddy job.
Would you say you're overwhelmed by what you are hearing or what you are gathering so far as this case is concerned?
I'm not overwhelmed at all. I am a lawyer of considerable experience. I've heard a lot of things. I've heard about murders, subversion. You know, I've heard a lot of things in my life, you know. I'm not surprised at all. I can only see common humanity playing out. And if we're a good student of the Bible, we'll be surprised.
I do admire the way you handle the whole proceedings, but at a point it appears some of the lawyers wanted to bully you. Did you see that to be tough on your side?
But the people who wanted to bully me are my engineers. I have a very young face, but I'm not just a small boy at the bar. Yes, in fact, I have some people in the Supreme Court who are my engineers. I'm not a boy.
Chairman, you related earlier on to, in our earlier discussions about a petition that you had received, or you had received from some senior police officers, retired, who wanted to volunteer some evidence or, come before the committee as witnesses to aid the committee in its work. In the scheme of things, now that you have almost, I would say probably you have broken down your hearings or your schedule into two, you are down first part, you are taking a break, you come with the second part. Do you still have space for them? Have you invited these officers? Will you hear them? Would they have what they have to say? Do you know if it will have any bearing on what you are doing so far? Or you think it will go beyond your remit, as you have said about the officers asking about promotions?
We will evaluate it and see whether the petition bears relevance to our remit. And if it is so, we'll look at it. But if it's going to hijack our time, we might defer it until we realize that we should look at it or even reject it because it will be outside our jurisdiction.
But may we have the benefit to know the source of your tapes? Because the source will also authenticate or give credence to the veracity of the allegations that have been put out in the tape.
Well, the source of the tape now is from the same Chief Bugri Nabu.
The second tape is coming from Chief Bugri Nabu?
Yes. So I need to leave you because if I'm not careful. Yes, sir. In fact, I'm told that what's it called, the press house of the parliament is going to take care of this, and they know what to do.
So we had the chairman of the ad hoc committee, the 7-member committee set up by the Speaker of Parliament, is Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin. He set up this committee, which is, of course, led by a man who's just, bold-chestedly spoken about all his credentials as a lawyer. He's Member of Parliament for Ibuakwa South, the Venerable Honourable Samuel Atta Akyea. He's been speaking to the media about the in-camera hearings which took place today. Just to go over for you quickly some of the important things he's been saying. He mentioned that they met in camera today with the National Security Minister because the National Security Minister at a point in time today had some interactions with them. He came in with a written statement, and after that written statement, he tendered that in. He told them that the National Security, as a matter of fact, had conducted some work in relation to this leaked audio tape. They had interviewed some of the key witnesses, and at the end of that, had produced an interim report. But he's told us today that they have, the National Security Ministry and the Minister, National Security Office, have refused to share the content of this interim report with them because the document is still classified as a national security document. And so the committee will not have the benefit of that document, will not have the benefit of the technical work that has been done by the National Security Minister on the ministry in terms of investigation and probe in relation to this matter of an alleged plot to remove IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, captured on an audio tape. He also mentioned that the man who is the source of this leaked tape 1 and leaked tape 2, or exhibits X and Y, are all they can all be traced to a common source. That is Namonda Daniel Bugri Nabu. He appeared before the committee today to be re-examined. This is being the second time in the company of his lawyers. I personally cited him with his lawyers. They were at the committee. They were also examined, and after that they were let off the hook. He indicated also that they also were expecting the presence of the IGP himself. He made this public hearing yesterday. Matters to be discussed in camera was also to be at the very center stage of the hearing today. But because of other national matters, the IGP, Dr. George Kufu-Dampare, could not return to the committee today. He has indicated that the committee will take a break and they will return on the 2nd of October this year to continue with their work, as it were, to be able to complete the work speedily and hand over their report to the Speaker. There are other periphery matters which he responded to. The petition that they've received from some senior police officers retired. He says they will study it. If it's within their remit, they will call them. He's also spoken about the suit in the court, in the High Court, relating to about 82 officers who have taken the IGP and the Ghana Police Service to court for holding on to their promotions. Yesterday, that question was put to the IGP. That is, on Tuesday, that question was put to the IGP, Dr. George Kufu-Dampare, but he said that there had not been any hold-ups of such. So he says that it looks like the committee is generally tilting towards the view that this issue is a matter that would be outside their remit, but they will still look at it, they will still consider it. If it's outside their remit, they would not touch it. They would want to stick to the terms of reference that has been given to them. So Samuel Atta Akyea has been addressing the press. He has been speaking to the issues, but he's been restrained because a lot of the things that have happened today from about 10 a.m. up until about 1:30, 1:30, has been in camera. And at the risk of divulging a lot, he has decided to end his interaction with the media, not to go into the realm of giving out information to the public really. So that's what has been transpiring. Back to you at Addis Ababa.